I've already mentioned to Carol, and I hope she doesn't mind if I mention it to all of you. And that is that we consider asking the 2 people who are running for selectmen to come to our meeting and talk to us about how they see the role of our committee.
Do we have names yet? The people?
Yes.
Tim Newman.
And Chris.
What do you hope that will accomplish?
Well, I mean, I would be willing to support someone who saw a reason for us a reason to collaborate with us.
And you don't have to support anybody. You're not running against anybody.
Yeah,
Right.
but you can do write-ins.
Unless there's a big push.
Since there is no choice, they're both running unopposed, does it really matter what they
check a
think?
box.
They're going to be the selectmen one way. No matter what they think, they're going to be the selectmen. Even if they don't think at all.
Well, like,
I think that maybe we should meet with, especially the new ones, the new person.
the candidates.
The candidates, thank you. And let them sit down and let us, as a committee, explain to them on a learning curve of what we're actually doing.
Well, you know Chris, he started.
I'm talking about just the one.
So there's
person.
Tim, okay.
Yeah, have him come in at a meeting and answer any questions he may have about us, or vice versa. And it would be a good educational thing for both of us.
I think he sleeps with one of the members of the committee.
Yeah, he's Roger's husband, so he must have some sense.
Might this be construed as some matter of endorsement with candidates?
Just one. Well, I came right out and asked Rock when, after the meeting was over, heading towards lunch, because we ended up at the doorway at the same time, and I said, so, they going to dissolve in us? And he just patted me and he said, no, I'm thinking of writing your name on every single ballot, this is what Mary Ann thinks. So he just made a joke of it. I told him he was...
How respectful.
No, this is what we do. We've always done this. Never since I was a plow guy.
I mean, I realize that this is a little bit controversial. It's a little pushy, and I'm not likely to be a pushy person, but I do.
Disguise it well.
Oh, good. Maybe I'm more pushy than I said. But I just feel like we should, as a committee, we get asked. I was asked last year about Chris Reitman, and I was asked this year about one of our members. Would you support so-and-so as a selectman? So people do ask our opinions. And, I feel like I'd like to know.
Well, why don't we invite all 3 of them in?
That's what I was doing too, but I did get an interesting email from Rock, and I'll read part of it. He said he was concerned because I had heard that the town administrator was zeroed out and immediately went from 0 to about 90 and, blasted off, and being pushy had to immediately find out what the hell was going on, only to find out they moved it, which, once explained I can understand. But so he was concerned, in terms of where we were at on that. And he wrote on a side note, I want you to know I'm not against the work the group does, and I think it's great. I personally am trying to figure out if we were getting 100% of the information you folks were providing, and I think going forward we should be copied on any news from the AABC, and everything should be put in an email. Also, I was all for meeting with the AABC and getting input much sooner on the budget and warrant articles, as I agreed with a lot of your ideas. I did say that I couldn't speak when I replied. I couldn't speak to the entire committee, but I think the majority felt we needed an administrator. Let's see. I said it's a really moot point anyway, because you guys control how the money is spent. You can shift things around as I understand the process. And I did send an email out to you guys and didn't get any strong opinions back too. So we do post minutes on the town webpage, so they are available to look at, although there's typically a week lag till they're approved, same as with the select board. We did develop a timeline last year for starting the budget process in October, which you guys did, and then it fell apart. Not sure why, but it seemed like I was asking when the second rounds were happening with department heads, and they didn't. Lots of non-public sessions, which is another whole story. So. I think going forward, there's an immense amount of work to do. The punch list seems to get longer rather than shorter. Losing Joel and Linda, no matter how you look at it, means we lose an immense amount of knowledge. We need to work together to keep things moving positively, especially if we don't hire a town administrator. The AABC has been thinking out loud about focus over the next few months with some talk of prioritizing, looking at how we do the transfer stations and cost analysis of options, what kind of truck does the highway department really need, and how the town does the CIP. We'd obviously come to you guys before we were to move ahead on any of these. I just stressed again that we need to be on the same wavelength and trying to work together for what's best for the town. So that was that.
Sounds good.
So I did not get a response back. And I just see an email from Glenn. Sorry, I didn't get back to you sooner, but I have a meeting in Akron tonight. Last one for Wednesday night, so. Okay. All right, so what do we want to be doing in the next couple of weeks besides the quarterly report? Do we want to address what Priscilla had to say, or?
I would be up for asking them. They can say no. I don't think it is any endorsement. I think it really is. Yeah, I think it really is just an informational, it would be an informational. I think we would want to have our questions set. The main questions set, these are the 5 questions that we are thinking about asking you.
Personally, I think if somebody really wants to know the candidates, like any voter, they should get to know the candidates and go from there. Just because we're on the budget committee doesn't mean that, personally, I think that our it goes back to almost the same thing. I hate to say I'm agreeing with Reedman, that he was saying that he got comments from people that we had double input, too much input as taxpayers in terms of the budget committee being, having a say on the ballot. And to me, it's almost similar that just because we're on the budget committee doesn't mean we should be saying that we know this person or we don't. As informed taxpayers, as individuals or voters, then yeah, we should get to know the candidates. But personally, I don't think it's appropriate. So you guys are the ones that need to.
And I think it's a moot point because we're going to have who we're going to have unless there's a move of someone else.
Year to get to know them.
Or not. Or not.
Do we know if there's any kind of public forum plan for these folks to present themselves as candidates?
Not that I'm aware of.
So having them come to this meeting, which is broadcast, in a way is providing public forum.
It does, but I don't think that's the role of this committee.
I don't either.
Okay.
Should we urge them to set up a public forum?
Pardon?
Should we urge the candidates to be part of a public forum?
Any individual can do that. I don't think that's appropriate for this committee to do that.
Yeah.
I think if there was multiple people running, then that would be another story.
Yep.
But in this case, there isn't much to get to know. So
You either put the X in or leave it blank, or write somebody in. Or stay home. All possibilities.
what happens if they get no votes?
Well, they vote for themselves.
Oh,
Their spouses.
We can write in a candidate.
No, but Juliana said she never votes for people who don't run against anybody. That's the smartest thing.
I think that's,
You're not choosing a.
You're endorsing.
I,
And if you choose not to endorse, you get fine.
Yeah.
I've heard that there is some writing going on behind the scenes. I don't know any more details from that, nor do I want to, nor do I think we're going to discuss
Oh, I know that
here,
there's
so-
been meetings because they think liberal people are
yeah, but if the.
are finding someone.
Organizing.
Yes. In which case, I must not be liberal anymore.
Right, but writing candidacy only works if it's well known.
Yes.
Yeah.
The secret writing.
All right,
Doesn't get
back to
anywhere.
the question, because it is now 7:42.
You mean that clock is correct?
It's a different clock, isn't it?
Yeah, let's swap it.
Thank you, Les.
What?
Between now and the meeting and the election, is there anything besides the quarterly report that we feel we need to accomplish? Yes, sir.
I'm thinking that maybe I'm out of line when I'm thinking this way, but what I would like to
I'll
see.
smack you down the yard.
I know that. It hurts sometimes, doesn't it? I'm thinking about, we're talking budget and monies and so on. I think it's time we get the full town budget from our auditors so we can actually see what dollars are out there. And then it'll bring up questions. If we see that there's X amount of dollars in this thing and we want to make sure everyone's accountable, I think this would be a good operating tool for the committee.
Well, we don't get the audit until around June.
Okay, well, when the,
But when it does, I
Yeah,
think it's a good idea.
How would you put it to use?
Well, I used it last year for the revenue. I got those figures,
Okay,
and that was very valuable.
okay. So that is something that can go on my down the pike list for this year, so.
maybe in for June, when the report comes out, you can, at that point, request a copy. I don't think you have to everybody.
Yeah, I was thinking that we should, in the future, track the revenue, on a monthly basis.
Well, I think that goes back to Jonathan's thing too, in terms of how efficient we do that, so.
Right, I thought they said it was too difficult to do that.
Which
I don't know
is
why
that.
that should be the case.
No,
but-
because if money comes in and you put it in the bank, it should go on a line that says this
Thank you.
money has come in.
Yeah.
Well, I think the treasurer's report did do that, didn't it?
It does.
It shows dollar amounts being deposited here and then transferred there and then transferred back here, and, there's a lot of the clamshell, shuffling with the feet under it.
There's a lot of, there are differences in fiscal year, what the legislature does. Some of the revenue isn't decided until September, for example.
Right.
So it's difficult to have a full handle on what the revenue is finally going to be, and that's why the IRA waits until November to come up with the tax rates.
But I think it would be interesting to try. Because Joel said to me that he used to review the revenue on a regular basis. And I said, well, why don't we ever see this?
That's why I suggested that we get hands in here to do cash flow. And that we did 2 of the 3 things we wanted from them, but we